Alrighty. Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening. My name is Nevin Hall. I am here today with Mr. Marvin Chambers. He is not only an author, but he is a mentor, a coach, and he strives to get the best out of everyone and to maximize your potential. So today we're going to discuss his most recent book that was recently published, and we're going to lead in just by what his inspiration was when it came to writing this book today.
Thanks for having. Like the inspiration was I spend majority of my working hours working with men, especially men of color, that are very talented and very successful, but are feeling a level of like frustration, isolation, confusion in terms of how to navigate in their careers and their lives to kind of take it to the level they want to take it to. So I help them kind of create strategies and tools and processes to accelerate their life, leadership, and their career the way they desire. So this book was really a tool for that based on what I was seeing. What I find is in many cases, our identity and how we define success and define who we are is all about performance, what we do, right, in every aspect of our lives. And do we really take the opportunity to just be? And instead of everything being about go, grind, achieve, conquer, do we ever take time to kind of reflect on what's important to us? What are really our values? How do we want to show up in our lives for our families, for our communities, for our workplaces? So this book was an opportunity to kind of create a space for people to kind of stop a little bit and pause. That's what this book was really all about.
Awesome. So I guess that'll lead right into the overall synopsis of the book. So you can begin to present what you put together for us.
All right, absolutely. So many of you know the name of the book, the journal is about awakening the onyx spirit, mindful moments for men. So what I'm going to do is kind of take you through a journey. And if I were to define the book in a nutshell, it's by this saying, as above, so below. What does that mean? It's different, kind of meanings, but when I think about it, it's really all about if you want to achieve the fruit and sustain the fruit, as you see above, you have to make sure your roots are strong. So your roots are about your values, about your character, about what you stand for, about who you really are. Because if that's strong, you're able to not just achieve, but achieve in a way that's sustainable. And that's what I found with many people that I've worked with, right? In order not just to get where they want to be, to stay there, they have to make sure that their stock is strong in terms of they're really aligned with who they really are. So that's what really this book is really all about, helping make sure that happens. So where we're going to go is I'm going to talk about the symbolism behind the onyx. What does it mean to awaken the onyx spirit? And then kind of give you a sense of like how the book is structured. And then if time is available to us, actually take you through a little bit of the book and let you experience it a little. So first, the black onyx. What is it really all about? It has lots of different symbolism, and the symbolism goes back centuries, quite frankly. In kind of Greek and Roman times, the stone really symbolized courage and protection. Um, in kind of the Chinese culture, it's about a sense of grounding and sense of self-discipline and sacrifice. In Indian traditions, it kind of focuses on the chakra, which is about the crown, excuse me, the root chakra, which is about strength and stability and grounding. And in Native American culture, they also use the onyx stone, and it's really there about their sense of spirituality in terms of warding off evil spirits. So it's really all about this sense of strength and resilience and protection and grounding and about really mastering ourselves. That's what it really is all about. And then if you look at the stone on my cover, it's a mixture of the onyx, but also some purple that really represents the amethyst stone. And the amethyst stone, right, in different cultures really represents this sense of being kind of like clear-minded and sober. And in certain cultures, actually, it was used to warn off drunkenness, right, to kind of send that sense of sobriety. It's about vision and clarity and about wisdom. So when I think about those two together, when I thought about the book, Awakening the Onyx Spirit, it was really about combining those two stones. The symbolism I call the black amethyst onyx, which is about strength and wisdom, grounding in practicality, but also intuition, right? It's about authority and it's about power. So it's really about when you bring those things together for leaders, it can be truly transformative in terms of helping them build a great sense of purpose and resilience to get them where they want to be. Any thoughts or questions about that? Please feel free to ask any questions along the way. So what exactly is the awakening of the Onyx Spirit? So when I think about it, it's really the opportunity for all of us, especially men, but all of us, to kind of cultivate those qualities of the spirit of the onyx, that kind of internal fortitude to thrive and to overcome obstacles, that ability to kind of step in and have a greater sense of awareness of who we are and whose we are and where we want to go, and to do it with a great sense of resilience and authenticity that I find is extremely important, especially in the day that we live in now. Many of us call this day kind of the time of the VUCA world, right? Lots of volatility, lots of uncertainty, lots of complexity, lots of ambiguity. So with all of that, how do we navigate that? And I believe this sense of the onyx spirit will help us ground us to be able to deal with all the chaotic world in which we live in and stay true to ourselves and move toward our true purpose and vision. So at the end of the day, onyx is about not just doing, it's about being and becoming. So the way I structured the book, it was really to facilitate three key things: mindfulness, reflection, and intention. Can anyone explain to me like the difference between the three? Because sometimes people use them like synonymously, but they're actually very different and very distinct. Any thoughts about that?
I think mindfulness would mean like, I guess, what you already know, and reflection would be like, I guess, just trying to understand what you know, and intention means like you're putting it to action.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So that mindfulness is about how can I focus, purposeful focus on the moment, right? This very moment that you're in today. How do you stay focused on that moment is the mindfulness piece of it. The reflection is all about that self-analysis. Like, where am I? Where do I want to go? Where do I want to be? Right? And then the intention is about how do I thoughtfully move in the way that I want to move, right? Because what happens is so much of our day is about just go, 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 go. We don't really stop and reflect on where exactly do we want to go. In fact, neuroscientists have shown us and told us that they can basically predict what we're going to do next. Because so much of us, in terms of how we're driven, is based on habits. So what this book is an opportunity for us to do is being intentional about our actions, conscious of what we're doing. So really the awakening, the true woke, is being conscious of what we're doing and making choices. So much of our lives is based on what we've done in the past, and we just move into the future, right? Think back when you were in school. How many times did you sit in the same place with the same people every day? You never thought, well, maybe I can sit with some different people, meet new people, grow in a different way. We're so much into habits, and that's the way our brain works. It likes to stay on what we already know. It doesn't like new things. It likes to conserve energy. That doesn't always serve us in terms of moving toward what we want. So intention becomes very important. So this book is really an opportunity to practice these things, three things: mindfulness, reflection, and intention. So the way it's structured to, in order to like fulfill kind of like movement toward those three things, is first in every week, because it's based on weekly kind of devotions, it starts with an affirmation, right? So an opportunity to be in the moment and really affirm something for that day, for that week that we want to focus on. So being in a moment around a thought. Then it's about a quote from someone that people admire, someone famous, typically a person of color, that we get an opportunity to think about, what does that quote mean to me? How do I fulfill it? Do I even agree with it? So it's an opportunity for a level of reflection. And then you get to go deeper in terms of reflection, in terms of, let me have a few questions that I can ask myself that can help me deepen my perspective relative to the topic for that week. And then the book challenges you to be intentional, to go out around that topic and do something that's meaningful to you, that's purposeful, that's intentional. So a call to action to do something that get you out of the matrix and actually do what you want to do in a way that serves you. And then lastly, it asks you at the end of the week is reflect on it. How well did I do? What did I learn? What could I have done better? Yes. Fair question. So it's really that opportunity to practice through these 5 parts of the book that you get to go through every week, that sense of mindfulness, reflection, and intention. So what I like to do now is actually take you through a week in the book so you can experience what it's like. So,
Hey, I'm sorry. Did you see the question that's in the chat?
oh, I did not. I
Yeah.
never, can you
I
see
can,
it?
I can, yeah, I can read it out to you.
That'd be
So
great.
this is from Mr. Dante Wiley. His question is, my question to you is, how do we move beyond the societal cognitive dissonance which impedes reflective and cooperative approaches when it comes to life, to love, to business, etc.?
Wow, that's a deep question. My perspective on it is that everything, we talk about this notion of a matrix, right? Which basically says that there's certain patterns in which we move, and there's a system in place, whether purposefully or not purposefully, that kind of drives how we exist on a day-to-day basis. So what is really all about for all of us is take the opportunity to become really conscious of our surroundings, for us to think for ourselves, to question everything around us. Is it true? How do I know it's true? Does it serve me? Does it serve my community? Does it serve my family? If it doesn't, do I want to stay with that belief? There's so many beliefs that we have that I call limiting beliefs that we learn from our parents, from TV, from different aspects of culture. And we never step back and analyze, does that serve me? I call it think about the barber shop and the salon talk. On every topic, we all got a philosophy about relationships, spirituality, money, health. We all have a philosophy around it that's typically influenced by something. What we don't ask ourselves is, does that way of thinking, does that perspective, does that belief system help me or not? I know people that go, I want to make money, for example, simple. They're like, yeah, I said, okay, so tell me about that. So when you think about money, what comes to mind for you? They say hard work. I may need to cut corners. Sometimes you're going to be around shady people, people that are kind of tricky. Really? So you're really telling yourself that you don't want those things. You're actually telling your mind and body. So what is your mind and body going to really do? It's actually going to resist them because your value system says, I want to be a person of a character. My value system says I want to have a level of a balance to my life. But you're saying to be rich, I got to sacrifice everything. And that's not even true. So much of our lives, we based it on a lie. This book is one small thing for us to rediscover our truth, a truth that serves us. So, great question. Any other thoughts, questions? Great question. So for the book, the first chapter or week talks about this notion of embracing authenticity. And every week has a different topic, anything from around money, spirituality, connecting to your community, family life, just different topics to get us to be intentional about something. So the affirmation, and for example, this is how I do it. Every day for that week, I read this affirmation in the morning. So for that week, week one, it was, I'm true to myself and I honor my unique identity. I embrace who I am fully and I allow the world to see me as I am with confidence and pride. And so I would recite that a few times so that I'm in the moment with it, right? So I'm intentionally in the moment with it, that part of that mindfulness, so it can kind of soak into where I am in that moment. And for me, when I go through it, I'll actually do some breathing with it. So I'll use it as a meditative affirmation. Then I would like the guys, you guys to kind of give me your thoughts. So the first quote is from James Baldwin, and it says, "You have to decide who you are and force the world to deal with you, not with the idea of you." So I would like for everybody to go around and kind of give your thoughts. So what does that quote mean to you? That I'm going to decide who I am and force the world to deal with me, not with the idea of me. What does that mean to you? Reggie, what about you? What does that mean to you?
I kind of think that it's saying I'm not going to let the world put me in a box, and
Mm,
I'm going to be who I am, and I'm going to show who I am, and I'm not going to be the person that you have boxed me in to be. That's kind of what I get from it.
excellent, excellent. Dante, what are your thoughts?
Oh yeah, so for myself, I would say it really depends upon perception
Mm,
because for myself, growing up, I was always either the biggest or the tallest in the room. And so being the, as you call, the big tall black person,
okay.
I was either expected to be on the basketball team or on the football team. And so the expectation was that I was not going to be very smart. Then
Mm,
many, many years later, I have a bachelor's degree and two master's degree, and I'm a teacher. And so I'm not just one of the tallest and the biggest in the room, I'm also one of the smartest in the room. And that's shocking to most people.
mm,
And I kind of keep that as my claim of fame because I want people to know that no, I'm not Ed Too Tall Jones, but I could have been. But I know what I am. I am what you would call Ed Tall Scholar, and that's
excellent.
what. So
So you didn't let people go, okay, these are my physical attributes, so this is what I am. You decided who you wanted to be, what you wanted to do, and how you wanted to show up in it. Excellent. Niles, what about you?
To me, this quote kind of sort of just means, every day you wake up, you should just be like authentic and just true to yourself, no matter like what everybody else is telling you should be or what you should do. And yeah, that's pretty much what I got out of it.
Excellent. Nevin, you want to chime in?
Yeah, that's what I think. It's one of those things where you don't want to everyone else comfortable. And of course, care before you're comfortable in your own skin, and have people kind of fall in line with that day to day. It's so easy to get, when you walk in a room and you try like fit perfectly. Everyone's in there, room. And so, and it's to be what you can be authentic self like all the time.
So you were breaking up a little bit, but what I took from that is it wasn't about just making people comfortable, right? And doing what they thought made sense and kind of like making them feel good. What was really going to align and make you feel your true self and following that path. Um, and for me, just like, the rest of you gentlemen, very similar. And for me, also the second question kind of resonates, kind of like forcing the world to deal with you. And so it kind of go to me, it becomes about your mindset. So an example, like Reggie knows me. I'm 5'6.5" on a good day, right? However, I typically grew up like demanding and taking leadership roles, often leading people in my classes that were much bigger than me. And how it formed was interesting. I went home when I was probably in the first grade. I asked my mom, like, why is everybody always bigger than me? And she said, they just big for their age. So that told me that I was the one that was the normal one, right? And so I was like, oh. And so to this day, often most of my friends are like 6 foot and above, usually pretty big dudes, right? And so I like to try to tell them what to do, right? As they got older, it's like harder, but I kind of had that mentality that this is who I am. So if you show up that way, I call it the being a thermostat versus a thermometer. So the thermometer goes based on the temperature, it's up and down, right? But the thermostat sets itself to a temperature and stays there. And it might be 50 degrees outside, but it's going to get to 72 if you put it on 72, right? So it's about how do you stay true to that and make sure what you do aligns with your mindset, with your values, your character, your essence. And you'll find the world bends to you versus you bending to it. Anybody any thoughts on that? Had that type of experience? All right. The next part of the book is reflective questions. So it starts with the affirmation on the top, in this case, topic, in this case, in kind of embracing your authenticity, goes to a kind of a quote on the topic that you can kind of ponder, reflect upon like we did, and then a couple of reflection questions. Like, so one that came up is, what aspects of yourself do you feel most proud of that you don't always show the world? What stops you from expressing that more openly? So I'll start. Um, I found one thing about myself that I'm really proud of is I think I'm a fairly generous person in terms of my time, any resources that I may have. But I found often that I hid it because it was almost like if you show that you're generous, all these crazy thoughts like people are going to take advantage of you, people are going to take you as soft, going to take you as naive. All these things that aren't necessarily true would pop in my mind. So it would kind of hold me back from, even though I wanted to reach out to somebody and give them support, or if I knew they needed support in some way and I could help them, not doing it because I didn't want to have that feeling that we're going to line up being a sucker, right? So I let that hold me back from really being who I really was. How about you guys? What is something that you're really proud of that you don't always show the world as much as you would like to?
Hey, if I can chime in, good evening, gentlemen. I don't have any one thing in particular that stands out that comes to mind in this moment, but I think the concept itself goes back to the previous topic around the idea of acceptance and essentially social identity and how we show up in different aspects of life. So I think when it comes to being proud of your, personal, professional, other related accomplishments and accolades, and I guess how freely or openly you are about sharing it, kind of can be influenced by, certain factors, be it the workplace, your household dynamics, whatever the case may be. But I do think that a lot of times we mask certain, areas of ourselves. Some people it may be due to fear, not wanting to be judged, whatever the case may be. Um, but I do think it kind of goes hand in hand with the previous topic.
Excellent. Daryl, you've been quiet.
Hey,
What are your
look,
thoughts?
I was like 10 minutes late. I just got off another call. I'm glad I made it though.
Excellent. Any thoughts? Can you think of something that you're pretty proud of about yourself that you don't always show?
So I guess I can share this one. A crazy thing, I guess for me, and I never thought it about myself, but I have an affinity for music, the way it sounds, how it's delivered, the different instruments it's played with. And so I was never what you would call someone who would ever be out there on a stage singing or playing an instrument, but some kind of way, when I hear something, I can already zero in on the particular instrument, how it's being played, and so forth. And automatically, I try to either emulate it or use it. I'll give you a perfect example.
Okay.
I have created a series of things on YouTube under my page, dealing with music and history. The first one I created was the female Fantastic Four of hip hop.
Wow.
I found four very, very unknown underground artists. I created animated musical diatribes, what I call moving forensic historical exhibits. And I put it together with music and it worked. And so then I did it again with another series, starting, I think it was a couple of years ago, called Savage Cipher with 18 more. And so I said to myself, I said, why? I said, I don't believe I'm doing this. I said, because some people would think, well, are you trying to be a musical director? I said, no, I'm just using the output of my talents the best way that I know how. I said, I love history, I love hip hop, and I combine them together.
That's excellent.
So if you go on YouTube, look under my name, you'll find it.
Mr.
That's
Dunn,
excellent.
you sound like a man after my own heart because I have similar, very similar loves and gifts the same way for music like that. I do the same thing with I can zone in on what the instrument was, what the feeling of the singer while they're singing it. Um, Actually, one of the things I recently realized was I thought I was a hip hop lover, but I realized that I'm not really the hip hop lover that I thought I was. There's a few things from back in the day that I still love, but um, I prefer the I prefer the regular R&B, soul, um, you know, pop, country, but I have those same things. So I'm definitely going to check out your page. Definitely going to check out your page.
That's excellent. Because
Thank you.
that tells us that we have different aspects of ourselves. And what's so great about that is you combine them, right? Often we're told we got to keep those things separate. They're separate. And now do that here, you do that there. And you found a way to use your creativity, your true essence to bring them together.
I combine I combine the music with my art though.
Yes,
So I'm
yes.
always doing I draw and paint, and quite often my inspiration is it comes from music, which is just like my top passion.
Oh, that's great. So you use one
That's
genre, one part
great.
of yourself as a muse for another. That's
Exactly.
excellent.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. Great to see.
Excellent indeed.
And then it's about once you kind of done that reflection work, been mindful about, your thoughts and what they mean to you, then it's about now taking action, intentional action that you want to take. Not the matrix, not what others are being tell you to do, not anything that others think is limiting, not worrying about judgment, just taking intentional action. So one thing I would charge you all to do around this notion of your uniqueness is take something about yourself, a value, a quality, and really, even if you don't get, no matter what other people think, and be intentional about showing that this week, right? For the rest of this week, right? And then at the end, kind of ask yourself, what did I learn from that? What did I discover about myself when I allow this kind of core quality or value to kind of be expressed more freely? How did I embrace it and share this part of myself? And how did that impact my relationships, my confidence, my feeling that I'm being my true identity, right? Because you want to do that reflection at the end because it's great learning in that. So taking action and then really stepping back and saying, how did that action impact me? How did it impact others, right? And so that's really it for me. If anybody want to get in contact with me, the way to do that is marvinchambers.com or marvin@marvinchambers.com is how you can connect with me. And I think we have about 5 minutes left and would love to take some questions.
How long did it take you to compile all of this?
Great question. It took me about 4 months, but I would say really 2 months of intense work, where I call it a blitz. So on a series of weekends, that's all I would do, is I would look for quotes, think about what they meant to me, what are the right questions, kind of doing different iterations of that. And it kind of evolved. Initially, when I first started, it was going to be a daily kind of devotional. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to take me forever. So it went from a kind of a daily to like monthly. And it started out saying, okay, I'm just going to do a quote, say what it means to me, and ask a couple of reflective questions. But the more I got into it, I said, that's not really enough, right? I want to really also have a call to action, like not just like think about stuff, but do something with it. So then it evolved to this kind of sense of call to action. I called it a call to intention, because now I'm being intentional about what I'm doing. I'm stepping out of the matrix. I'm doing what I desire, focusing on what's important to me, and then stepping back again and saying, what do I get from it? So it evolved to being just about a quote and a reflection to, on the front end, an affirmation with an intention within another affirmation at the end of the week. So it's something you have this journey from Monday for me to Sunday.
Did you actually answer all the questions as you came up with them?
Not all of them, most of them. For me, it was so I'm literally going through the book myself as a participant. Right, so because I was really focused on doing it, bro. So I was putting a lot of the time on my coach hat. Is what would be a question that would like trigger thought, make a person really step back. So a lot of it was more about the creative to support others. Now I'm stepping back and taking the product myself, and now I'm being a participant, a consumer of the work. Good question. So a little bit, but mainly now I'm being more of a consumer. What other questions?
What was your inspiration behind this book?
It really came down to more and more and more, Daryl. I'm working with men of color in my coaching practice. And the folks I work with, the most that hire me are really bright, very talented, pretty successful, but at the moment feeling stuck, maybe isolated and frustrated because they are navigating some workplace biases or cultural challenges. And I'm really good at helping them thinking through the right tools and strategies to get unstuck, feel a sense of belonging, and accelerate their careers and accelerate whatever aspect of their lives they're working on. But what I found along the way is they were so focused on just, I got to grind, I got to do, that they never took the time to step back and say, who do I want to be? Who do I want to become? So this was an opportunity to kind of create that space for people to pause, right, and reflect. So instead of go, 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 it was an opportunity to go, stop, then go, which, by the way, we found in the neuroscience aspect of things, when you're trying to drive productivity, is a much more effective way of like getting to outcomes, right? It's actually going and stopping to rest, to pause, reflect, recharge, and then go again, right? It actually gets you further. So this was an opportunity to create space for that. It was my way, my contribution to the world. Appreciate the question.
Okay. Well, we only have just several seconds left, but we do want to thank you for taking the time out this evening to discuss your book. What I'll do is when I send out emails to everyone, I'll be sure to send a link to your book. And any final remarks?